I am Africa, millions of years in the making, a landscape rich in culture, a continent of diverse people from many nations, moving forward, growing bigger, faster, becoming one.
We are the new Africa, flourishing in resources, resilient and innovative.
Abundant in opportunities, rich in human potential. We are one Africa.
I am Africa.
We are Africa.
I am Africa.
I am Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome founder and chairman of the New York Forum Institute, Richard Attias.
Monsieur le Président de la République gabonaise, Ali Bongo Ndimba, Monsieur le Président de la République du Rwanda, Paul Kagame, Madame la Première Dame du Gabon, Sylvia Bongo Ndimba, Messieurs les Présidents Fox du Mexique, Monsieur le Président Toledo du Pérou et Madame,
Mr. President Toledo from Peru, and Mr. President from Bolivia, the Prime Minister from the Gabonese Republic, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, Prime Ministers, and dear friends. Quite unusually, Mr. the President of the Republic, I will allow myself this time to take a few seconds in guise of an introduction. I really wanted to share with you a few of my opinions or principles, some of them borrowed from you, Mr. President of the Republic, that were transformed into the topic of this third edition of the New York Economic Forum, which moved 3 years ago from New York to Libreville. That is to say, transformation, precisely. Transformation of Africa, which we're all calling for, depends on various factors, including regional economic growth, of course, but also a transformation of our mentalities and mindsets. And that's certainly one of the logos or leitmotifs that were invoked by you, Mr. President of the Republic, for the social assises, the social encounters that you then presided. But we have to make sure that this change of mindset operates first and foremost in order to make sure that Africa stops being perceived through prejudices and a number of preconceived ideas. In order to move forward on the path of emergence, there is, according to me, a first obstacle to identify and to get over. It's the devaluing of Africa and the vicious underlying idea according to which Africa should be content with makeshift remedies, basically, rather than try to come to terms with its actual weaknesses. That is a mark of cynicism on the one hand, or arrogance on the other hand, which take for granted certain criticisms as a mode of aesthetic expression, so to speak, and who then declare that most of our renowned managerial or governance principles are too costly, too expensive, or too sophisticated for the African continent. But I know out of experience that small dreams do not generate big achievements. So if Africa, quite legitimately so, wants to and wishes to become the United States of the 21st century, it should dote itself with the appropriate means for its ambition, and we should definitely support Africa in so doing. Infrastructure, industry, why should we satisfy ourselves with minima and minimal objectives when the vitality of the continent certainly fully justifies an acceleration of all of these ambitious goals? The Chinese emergence and growth did not come about tiptoeing slowly, but as a sort of roller coaster phenomenon. The mining industry, for example, here are demanding some similar expansion, in fact. In the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to animate a number of forums, and the sole common objective of all of them was to make sure that dialogues, synergies, and opportunities would emerge, be it from a social, economic, or political point of view. And therefore, it's with a lot of nostalgia or sadness even that I note some similar recurrent Pavlovian reflexes, be it in some Western countries as well as on the continent itself, with respect to the African situation. Africa should not remain a prisoner of those preconceptions and holograms. Any road that needs to be built or investments on the infrastructure, the organization of international forums, all of these endeavors will generate a number of criticisms. It's too costly, not enough transparency. All of these are useless efforts. So what should we do? According to what principle should Africa content itself with obsolete infrastructure from the previous century? And why such a proud continent and emerging economy should give up on investing in its own future? As far as I'm concerned in my own sector, I am familiar with recurrent criticisms, according to which international investments might be useless. But I nevertheless know that most of the participants and stakeholders do trust us and realize how all of these initiatives enable not only the signing of contracts, but networking and encounters or meetings between younger and less young generations, in fact. But some of our objectives can be really condescending, in fact. Why should you organize in Africa some such high-flying summits gathering Nobel Prizes, presidents of multinational companies, or heads of state? Why couldn't Africa be happy with sort of second best, so to speak, like the survivors of the Holocaust, literally? Well, I am not of that opinion. And my teams, as well as myself, have been working in close collaboration with the local Gabonese teams that I, of course, would like to thank here in order to set up this third edition of the New York Economic Forum for Africa. And it wants its purpose to be even more innovative and original and pioneering. And I can't help at this very moment thinking about who our light engineer who actually passed away 48 hours ago here in Libreville of a sudden heart attack. And that's why I would like to dedicate this third edition of the New York Economic Forum Africa to him. Now, as far as economic and political stakeholders are concerned, may all those private and public partnerships generated by the forum be fruitful and inspiring to all of you participants in this forum, and help us all become aware of the fact that Africa no longer serves other continents, but holds its hands to help bringing the other continents forward in a joint dynamic movement. And now I'm giving the floor